How's it going? I'm David, creator of this group and also WisdomSquare.com. Today I'm going to give you guys a look inside my grocery cart. I just came back from shopping a little while ago and is a little behind the scenes to see what I actually eat during the week. So I'm just going to go one by one through each item and just talk a little bit about it. First up, I got some baby bananas. They're less starchy than the full-grown bananas, and also they taste a lot better too. So that's why I get these instead of the larger size bananas, which are actually two different species. And after that, I got a little package of white Turkish figs, and also some Majul dates. So these are good dried fruits, little snacking. I also got some strawberries, and because I go shopping in a farmer's market, these actually are always on sale. So I would probably never get them on in a big name brand store, but when you go to farmers markets, you're able to get you're kind of stuck. You're forced to get fruits and vegetables, and they're at a much better price. So it's a win-win. After that, I also got some blueberries and some blackberries as well. These are my favorite type of mangoes. They're called either the honey mango or the Altalfo mangoes, which taste a little bit better, and they're just like softer to eat and less stringy to eat than these guys. These are the more common mangoes that you'll probably find in the store, called the Kent mango, but these are also good too, so I picked up a box of these as well. But you can just see like the difference in size and color and shape between the two. So, there's this box here. Next up, I got 2 bags of grapes, and when I go to buy grapes, I always get the red globe grapes because they come with seeds in them. Most other grapes, they're seedless varieties, so the ones with the seeds are much more nutritious. I also picked up some dark sweet cherries. And I normally don't get this. These are apples, but because these are locally grown in New Jersey and they're much smaller than the common apples you see, I figured I'll pick it up. The reason I normally don't get apples is because you see like how different they're supposed to look. They're supposed to be small like this. The bigger apples that you see in the store, they're basically a monoculture, so they're not as nutritious from what they used to be, because they used to be crab apples in America a long time ago. So the taste was a lot more bitter, kind of like a green apple. It's not supposed to be sweet like today's red apple is. But I got these. Next, I picked up 2 cantaloupes and 2 honeydew melons. I also picked up 2 pomelos. These guys are the ancestors of grapefruit, but they taste a lot better. I actually had a friend who was allergic to grapefruit, but when I recommended him to try this, he had no problem eating it. Surprising. I mean, a lot of ancestor food, older food, people aren't as allergic to it as like the more modern versions of that food. And I also got some mandarins. These guys are basically the ancestor of today's orange, so they're smaller. This guy here is a spaghetti squash. This is a papaya. I'm gonna wait for it to get a little bit more yellow. Right now it's too green, so it's not ripe yet to eat. These little guys are red habanero hot peppers, very spicy, so I only picked up a few of them. These are the sweet red bell peppers. So I mean, you can just see the difference in size. Really, they're supposed to be, you know, a lot smaller, but today, you know, farmers found out a technique to grow them much larger and get rid of the spice as well. These are Brussels sprouts. So these are really nutritious, and they're actually healthier than their cousin, the cabbage. The cabbage is basically a Brussels sprout, but just much, much larger. You can see the difference in the size is, you know, it kind of gives it away. I picked up 5 avocados. Right now they're pretty hard, so what I'm going to do is I'll put them in a brown paper bag with some of the bananas, and that's going to help ripen these up in a few days versus waiting a week for them to ripen up just laid out on the counter. So these are plums. These are actually probably the smallest plums I've seen in a long time, so I like them. I'm going to probably use them for juice, so that's why I got so many of them. These are peaches, and when I go to the store and if I see peaches next to nectarines, I always pick up the peaches because they're technically the same fruit, but the peach is the older version, and what they did was they bred out the fuzzy skin to then make the nectarine. So that's why I prefer to go for the original food, which was the peach. These are red onions. So again, like I'll go for red onions instead of the white or the yellow Spanish onions. I got 2 different mushrooms. I like these guys a little bit better. These are the oyster mushrooms, if you ever see this kind of shape. So these are like really nutritious. Cut them up and put them in a stir fry. These are your more commonly seen portobello mushrooms. They're actually the exact same mushroom as the white button mushrooms, the smaller mushrooms. It's just these are able to grow to maturity, and this is how big they end up becoming. Mushrooms are also really high in copper, so it's going to be good for your brain and just your whole central nervous system. And these guys are all of my greens. So instead of just getting a salad, which I know, you know, you buy a salad, it dies in a few days. It's basically because it's today's version of what a leafy green is, because they bred out these stems, right? So a long time ago, lettuce used to have stems, like really thick spines like this, that brought the nutrients from the soil into the leaf. But because today's lettuce doesn't have this kind of spine, that's basically why they die so quickly, and also why they're not going to be as nutritious as some of these leafy greens here. So in my hand, this is called Swiss chard, and this comes in different colors, but the green variety is actually the oldest variety. The red and yellow ones, those are more modern. So that's why I try to stick with the oldest one. This is actually kale, but it's a personal preference that I just don't like the curly kale. I don't like the texture of it. So this is a different species of kale that I find I just like the texture a lot better. And if you think kale is like one of the most nutritious greens, this little guy has it beat by a long shot. So this is actually watercress, and it basically grows mostly in water. It's like half soil, half water, but this one has it's basically almost 10 times more nutritious than kale is. and it doesn't come with the same bitter taste. So what I do is I'll chop this up, put it in a stir fry. This humongous thing is cilantro. Sometimes when you go to the more name brand stores, you'll see this is like a lot smaller. But usually when you go to a farmer's market, you'll see the size of it is almost like 5 times the size of what you could find sometimes. So this is really good for seasoning and flavor. Again, I'll chop this up and put it in stir fry. This is one of the most nutritious greens as well. These are actually dandelion greens. So the same thing that grows probably in your front yard, the little yellow weeds that we always try to kill. If you allow it to continue to grow, it produces leaves that are this big and sometimes even much larger than this. When you go to the store, these are like one of the cheapest greens, but one of the most nutritious greens that people overlook. And if you kind of think about it, weeds that we spend all this money to kill in our yards, they're some of the most nutritious things that we could eat. Even though they're probably some of the most bitter things we could eat, they're the best for our digestion and for building up our immune system. And if you think about it, they're so hard to kill, and they could grow in almost any environment. When you eat it, you basically take upon you that same type of resilience. So if you want a similar immune system that these weeds have, then the best thing to do is to eat this. This is like some basically medicine if you want to look at it that way. This guy is called chicory root. Here the actual root is cut off, but a lot of the time you'll see people using the root as a herbal supplement, and it's even it could be used as a substitute for coffee if you roast it. People claim that it has like a similar flavor to it, or close enough flavor. And but the leaf of the chicory root is also really nutritious, and you could see the spine on it. So that's kind of how I could tell that it's gonna have a lot of nutrition in the leaves because of how thick the spine is. Next up, these two guys are more or less cousins. You probably recognize this one. This is green onions, or called scallions. So these are really good to add, just some flavor, a little bit of a onion flavor to your cooking. Chop it up, put it in a stir fry, and then to show you the comparison, these are called leeks, right? It's mostly come from Asia, and they're really similar. It's just if I was to compare the two, I would say the leek probably has a little bit more nutrition in it. You could kind of see how much like heartier it is. It's a lot stronger than these guys. So that kind of is the giveaway that I look at when I'm buying food. And then the last thing on the table is a special. I don't always get to find this, but it was a box of prickly pears. So a prickly pear is also known as cactus fruit. So this grows right on the cactus. Normally it would have the little spikes in it, but these are all removed. So you could grab it. You're not gonna hurt yourself with the needles. And the way I eat this, because it has a lot of seeds in them, some people would just cut off the skin, bite into it, and there's so many seeds you can't really spit it out. You probably just swallow the seeds. But what I prefer doing is I have a juicer, so I'll make a juice out of all of these, and then it takes the seeds out for me. 1, 2, 3. So that was everything that I picked up today, and I hope you found something interesting. Maybe you learned something along the way. And take care, guys. I'll see you guys again.